Good evening. We celebrated Women's Day earlier this week. In the Times Techies page on Wednesday, we noted that the Indian technology industry is the largest employer of women in the organized private sector. It employs 1.5 million women. The percentage of women in the IT workforce is now at about 36%, a steep rise from 23-24% about a decade ago. Among the new campus hires, the figure
you're also breaking now.
The percentage of women is still around 20%. So the tech industry has been the torchbearer of diversity and inclusion in India. Companies are building fairer and more inclusive workplaces and instilling gender parity as one of their key objectives. The number of women in technology at junior levels in India is well above the global average, but we run into problems.
And Shilpa is having trouble. Shilpa, we can't hear you. Shilpa, yeah, we couldn't hear you for some time.
Sorry, apologies. Yeah, I was talking about how companies are building fairer and more inclusive workplaces and instilling gender parity as one of their key objectives. The number of women in technology at junior levels in India is well above the global average, but we run into problems when we look at managerial and top executive roles. At these levels, women continue to be highly underrepresented. And today we will discuss how we can address this issue. Welcome to Times Techies webinar. I'm Shilpa Fadnis and I have with me my colleague Sujit John. The two of us will moderate today's discussion. We are having this discussion in association with Mindtree, the global digital transformation services company. We are delighted to have three seasoned professionals on our panel. We have with us Leenika Khattar. Leenika is the Director of Diversity, Inclusion and Belonging at NASSCOM. She comes with diverse experience of over 25 years in the banking and technology industry. She was with HSBC Commercial Banking for over 10 years and HDFC Bank for over 8 years. She's been with NASSCOM since 2016. As the diversity and inclusion leader, Leenika is responsible for steering initiatives, celebrating and positively influencing policies to create a more diverse and inclusive workforce in the IT industry. Welcome, Leenika.
We have with us Meenakshi Krishnamoorthy. Meenakshi is the head of...
Thank you.
Meenakshi is the head of pre-sales for the communications, media and technology business at Mindtree. She has more than 23 years of IT services experience, ranging from strategy and business development to setting up and scaling new practices and service units and building high-performance teams. She has been the driving force behind large, complex, multi-year and multi-million-dollar deals at Mindtree. Earlier in her career, Meenakshi also co-founded a company focused on creating ERP and data exchange solutions for small and medium businesses in Singapore. Welcome, Meenakshi.
Thank you, Sujit.
And we have with us Sonal Basu. Sonal is General Counsel at Mindtree. In this role, she is responsible for Mindtree's legal, regulatory, and integrity functions. She provides strategic advice to the board and management across global markets and is also a champion of diversity and inclusion initiatives. Sonal has spent nearly 2 decades in the IT industry in various leadership roles. She has previously worked at Wipro, IBM, Nokia, and J. Sagar Associates. Sonal is a regular speaker at various forums and educational institutions. Welcome, Sonal.
Thank you.
Those who are viewing this can send in questions through the Facebook comment box. Shilpa and I will put them to Leenika, Meenakshi, and Sonal. Leenika, how's your connection? Some issues there, I think. Okay, let me first start off by asking, we'll get back to, I think, let's see if Leenika can set her system right. Meenakshi and Sonal, we all understand some of the reasons why women tend to be, the percentage of women tend to be low at the higher levels. Many women, of course, drop out of the workforce in between for reasons like marriage, children, looking after parents and in-laws. Oftentimes that falls on women again. Are these the biggest reasons? I just want to clarify, are these the biggest reasons why women tend to drop out? Or are there some other reasons as well, Meenakshi?
Yeah, so Sujit, in my experience, I think if you really look at the initial age of their career, right, you can actually find a lot of women in the tech roles. But over a period of time, as Shilpa was mentioning, this actually dwindles. And some of the reasons that you actually mentioned, like marriage, we even call mobility as another reason, and also children, right, the motherhood period. So it tends to create a gap, and bringing them back into the industry ecosystem is a bit of a challenge. That is one reason, I would say. The second reason is as you actually grow in the career, right, and you have to aspire more to actually reach newer goals, a lot of investment is needed from their side in terms of time, skill building, and setting goals for themselves. So this is another reason perhaps you will find less of women at the higher leadership level, which Shilpa was also saying that it is really underrepresented. So I would say it's a mix. The career breaks also kind of gives them this kind of probably a little bit lack of confidence to come back and make it happen. So I would say it's really a mix of this, Sujit.
Okay. Mix of things. Leenika, I mean, you know a lot of companies, you work with a lot of companies in the tech sector. Give us an idea. I mean, what are some of the best methods now emerging to ensure that women can move higher up?
Sure. So I think as Meenakshi rightly said, right, women kind of tend to take breaks largely because of various reasons, maternity, relocation, matrimony, etc. As our industry, we are a lot focusing on returnship programs. So there are well-established, well-focused returnship programs which are supporting a lot of women come back. So that is one. A lot of organizations have a good mentoring coaching program, right? Employee resource groups, the resources that are available for women to upskill themselves. As NASSCOM, also we have a program called W2RT, which basically allows women to upskill themselves into various technologies. Yeah.
Okay. Sonal, what? I mean, do you agree? I mean, are returnship programs, or what are the best methods in your view?
So in my view, I think women should try and demystify their career problem statement. I think it's important because, you know, you can't be running, it's like running a marathon, right? You need to pace it out. You can't be sprinting all the time. So I think it's important to understand at what stage you are in your career and then map your role to that particular stage, right? So say, for example, if you look at I think it's McKinsey report, which was, you know, published during pandemic time, and it said that around 23% of women were considering downshifting their careers, and most of the women were, you know, working mothers whose kids were under the age of 10, and most of the women were in senior management positions. So I think it's extremely important to understand what is it that is holding you back and have those career conversations with the organization. And most of the organization, especially in IT industry, are extremely inclusive. They are extremely sensitive to the needs, sensitive needs rather. You know, if your child is say 1 year old and you really can't travel, say for example, you know, if your role requires travel, organizations are quite ready to help women navigate through their career. So I think it's up to all of us, all of us women, to understand how we could identify and chalk out a career path, have that larger vision in place, and then have those right career conversations with your employer to navigate through your career path. So, you know, the problem statement is the same for everybody, right? But it's only to decipher that a bit more in detail and try and pace it out, and then, you know, it becomes easier.
And from the company's side, what kind of structures do you think work well?
So I think skill-based framework is extremely important. You need to have a meritocracy built framework. You know, if you want to empower employees, you know, in the position of success, power, and influence, you cannot be identifying those role spaces your gender. So, it's like if you want to become a project manager, if you're an engineer, right? Software engineer, or if you want to become a partner in a law firm, if you're a lawyer, or if you want to become a CFO, if you're a chartered accountant, right? What are those skills which are required for those roles for you to get there, right? I think if the employers could make those communications extremely transparent, identify the skills required, soft skills, hard skills, and enable that journey, organizations can really retain good talent and make this work.
Meenakshi, you want to add to that?
Yeah, so many a times, Sujit, what happens is that when women really take this career break and come back, they kind of get lost that I'm already kind of delayed. How am I going to actually catch up? And tend to compare themselves with probably their male colleagues, right? And a lot of cases happen and they come to me as to please guide me. How do I really catch up and how do I grow again? So pacing as one of the strategies was Sonal is saying was one of the key things that we advise them. Secondly, it is not really a point of comparison, right? Different people have different needs at their different point in time in their journey. So what is important for them is to have a clear goal set up. Like, for example, if I am a software developer today, tomorrow I would want to become a technical architect and I set myself a 3-year journey. How do you navigate that 3-year journey? What are the additional skills that I need to do? What are the specific projects that I need to seek out? And how do I balance that journey while I'm managing the home at the same time? If you create that kind of a goal and a set path, you can actually really groom women into higher leadership and technologist kind of ecosystem. So that mentorship, taking advice from people who have already done it, who have actually traversed a similar path, is really going to help them. And that is one area where we are really focusing on. We have a community called Athena, where we actually get women who have actually done this in their career path, come and talk to them, the challenges that they face, how they can overcome. So I think that really gives them a first-hand view of I'm not alone kind of an ecosystem, right? Builds that confidence to really take their career forward.
Okay. Leenika, how are these? I mean, you mentioned returnship programs. How are these working actually? I mean, from what I've heard, I mean, some of them have, but they're not really working very well is what I hear, except for in a few cases. What is your sense?
I think there are a lot of successful returnship stories, Sujit. A lot of women have come back through these. So we've also started something called Women Change. We want to hear a lot about these successful stories because you learn these podcast stories out, right? It is going right for people who've come and got successfully settled and growing in the respective organizations. So I think what's to do, we need to identify these returnship programs. We need to talk a lot about these returnship programs, especially after COVID, right? A lot of women have taken a break because of various.
Leenika, your line is a problem.
Have an unconscious bias around this gap that's got created. Do not COVID or any as a gap, right? So if we don't consider these as gaps, become women coming, it is going to go further very clearly.
Okay. Shilpa?
Yeah, Meenakshi, Sonal, and Leenika, for all three of you, many companies are, embracing a hybrid approach to work. How do you think this is actually benefiting women employees? Do you see more of them getting into the workforce because of the hybrid model as well?
So
I'll take. Yeah, Leenika, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I think this whole hybrid working well, not because of flexibility that it creates. A lot of women have gone in technology solutions, right? Started a lot of online courses, upskilling themselves. So that is, they have flexibility to manage their day. So are looking to upskill themselves. So I would accredit hybrid working to a lot of women upskilling themselves, and there's an increase of about and upskilling through the online courses. So that's the of the hybrid.
Yeah, and I think the hybrid model will enable a couple of things. One is, I think it's going to, instill a lot more confidence, for women in workforce, because they would, whatever little challenges they have, they would be in a position to prioritize and, plan their professional journey better. That is one. Secondly, it will also give them a visibility on their career goals. They need to be aspirational, and if they are aspiring to be someone in their career path, then I think this hybrid program would also help them, make their journey a bit easier. And of course, it's also a good retention strategy for the companies, right? So net, I think it's a win-win for the industry.
Meenakshi, you were saying something.
Yeah, so what I have seen, Shilpa and Sujit, is that with the pandemic setting in, right, all of us really moved into a digital way of working. A lot of things we used to do in a typical conference room setting today is done digitally, and many people are working from remote locations, right? And our clients, especially in the technology field, our clients also became more open to have people work from remote setups. So that, I would say, really opened up newer arenas and opportunities for women. One, with the cities like Bangalore or the other cities where the traffic is a big problem, right? You really save a lot of time, and you can perhaps use that time to upskill yourself, take up a new course and complete it, right? So that gives them that opportunity to put in that extra hours of study for them to really work on a cutting edge technology, which probably they wouldn't have thought of earlier because of lack of time. Secondly, it also gives access to work. For example, today, if I'm in a remote location and not probably in a tier 2 city, and I had a mobility challenge because I don't want to uproot my family as a woman, now I can actually gain access to the work that is happening in Bangalore or for a customer in US, for example. So that definitely opens up new possibilities for women, and hybrid work is a great thing for women to progress their career forward.
So you're saying what Leenika earlier said, I mean, they are using the opportunity to also do a lot of online learning, is it?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, you've seen that in Mindtree?
Yes.
Okay. Shilpa?
Right. Meenakshi and Sonal, while just Leenika joins us, I wanted to understand from you, who do you look up to as role models? We need more visible examples of role models, women technologists, leaders. So if you can share your experience.
Yeah, that's something which I also keep hearing, that women need these role models. I mean, that really helps them, gives them the confidence.
Yeah, so I definitely look up to Indra Nooyi. I think, and I've read her book recently. I think she's articulated the entire journey of women in workforce in the most simplified way, and I think all of us have similar set of problems, right? Once you get married, you have additional responsibilities, household responsibilities, then you decide to go the family way, and when your kids are younger, you have a lot of constraints, because you can't just leave your during my time, it was just 3-month maternity leave. Now it's 6 months, but you can't just leave your 6-month-old and go, say, to the States if your work demands it, right? So I think to answer your question, of course, it's Indra Nooyi, but it is so important for all of us to be champions in our own capacity. If each of us decide to make an impact, and even if you change professional journey of one woman, I think even that is good, because that not one woman is going to change the life of another, right? And that's how the ecosystem in the community will build. So I think we all need to evangelize, we all need to be the champions to make it easier, so all of us are role models for younger women in some way or the other.
Absolutely. Meenakshi, you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I think my role model, I think very early on, I actually read this book from Sheryl Sandberg, The Lean In. There are mixed opinions about that, but I think the actual lean in really means that you have to set your own path, career path, aspire to do more, take new opportunities and challenges as it comes, right? So that how do you really push yourself to do more, aspire to do more, That is something I would say I have kind of used in my career to set goals for myself. As Sonal was mentioning, right, I really love to mentor the younger talent, the women, all the journey that they go through today, all the worries and guilt feeling, and that they are confused about taking their career forward. We actually mentor them. A lot of women ask us for this. How have you done this in the past? How do you really set aside time to do this? If I get promoted, then I have to do this additional thing. So the experience that comes, right, if you are really able to mentor them, show them the right path, and help them grow their career, that is ultimately, I think, is the success of we leaders in this technology industry who have actually come to these positions.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have a vision for yourself. Only if you have a vision for yourself, the organizations would also be in a position to help you.
No, absolutely. We'll come back to that. Leenika, I wanted to ask, I mean, Meenakshi has multiple times mentioned and mentorship. That's something which I hear all the time. That's something that can really help women. Leenika, what have you seen companies do on that? Are there a lot of formal programs now?
Yeah, Sujit, so as I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of our industry is having mentoring programs, coaching programs. There is that upskilling program that we also have as NASSCOM, which is a formal W2RT program. Where
What exactly is that? That is that's an online resource.
Yes, it's an online program where you also get connects with the mentors.
Oh, really?
So it is not only the online course available, it is also interacting with the mentors. So that's what W2RT brings on the table. We are soon working on upskilling, mentoring about 8 to 10 senior tech leaders by senior leaders from the industry. So that's the program we should soon be launching.
Oh, really? You're launching that soon?
Yes, please. So this should be about 8 to 10 senior women tech leaders getting mentored by the senior leaders of the industry. So it's a small cohort that we are building.
How does one apply to that?
So that, I mean, it'll all come on social media, okay. Sujit. It'll all be announced. Yes. And okay. Women can apply to that. And we are also companies where what women today are saying that they are not looking at the senior most leaders podcast stories, right? Because they are not really aspiring to be the senior most leader or a tech leader, right? So everybody cannot be an Indra Nui, and that's what they are very clear about. So their vision is not to become the senior most. So I think a lot more podcast stories that have to come out are the real stories, right? People, middle management kind of stories is something that has more impact on these junior leaders, because from their perspective, their vision is to not really get there.
Oh, very interesting. And I'm very happy to hear that, because on Times Techies, we're actually doing a lot of that. We're actually getting a lot of middle management kind of women to talk about how they got there, the kind of challenges that they faced and all of that. So,
and as far as the role model is concerned, I think I'm my own role model. I've done about 26 years of working now with 2 kids. My elder one is doing his final year of graduation. My younger one is class 7th. And I've done hardcore banking sales for about 20 years, been with NASSCOM for the last 6 years, and still passionate to do more. Every day I keep judging. I really want to get to 60 and continue working. So I'm my own role model. And lots got changed in our industry, right? So, I mean, if I look back 20 years, the environment wasn't as healthy and as conducive for women employees to work. There was a lot of bias that existed. So we've not come further.
Yeah, huge changes. Yeah.
Yes.
Meenakshi, Sonal, Mindtree, do you have a formal mentorship program? How does it work? Or do the women have to, on their own, come to one of you and ask to be mentored? How does it work?
We have a lot of formal programs, Sujit. For example, we actually have a We Mentor program, we call it. It is basically a network of senior leaders, both men and women, who sign up to be the mentors, and they and as a mentee, for example, I can choose a mentor based on the area of interest that I have. For example, if I want to grow my career in the field of technology, then I will actually find a mentor in the field of technology. It doesn't matter whether it is a he or a she, and have one-on-one discussions, career discussions. How do I actually broaden my skills? It need not be just the technology skills. It can be skills outside. How do I build my brand? How do I build my network? How do I build the business acumen? And all of that aspects get discussed on a one-on-one basis. That's the We Mentor program. We also have formal leadership programs for women. I think She Will is one of the programs that I was fortunate to be part of, where we actually get one-on-one sponsorships from very senior leaders, business leaders in Mindtree. They invest time to understand the women leaders' aspirations. What do they need to do to go to the next step? How do they build their own vision to go to the next step? So that is another program. And then I was also earlier speaking about the women community that we have, which we call as Athena, which is a very, very strong community of women, where we come in together on a regular basis. We share our own life experiences that actually sets as examples for the younger women to take their career forward. We also get external speakers from the industry, a lot of accomplished women in the industry, I would say from varied sectors, not just technology, to come and speak to us and share their experiences and learnings and the challenges that they face. So this is a very, very active forum. And I would say it actually gives a long, in the long run, it has really transformed the lives of some of the women in terms of how they look at their career and how they take their career, how they take charge of their career to move it forward.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
and thanks, Meenakshi. And we've also recently launched an Empower program, which is actually catering to, that particular mid-management, women group who could then take that leap and get into leadership roles, right? And we see that it's an industry issue that women in leadership, the percentage is quite small. And, Mindtree really believes in talent being a key driver, and there's a lot of talent when we talk about women leadership, and Mindtree really wants to invest and get women to the leadership level. And as you'd have read, Mindtree was also recognized by Great Place to Work Institute in the top 50 workplaces for women in 2021. So yeah, we as an organization are investing a lot in various initiatives to really push women to get there.
Okay. I have a question here, Shilpa. Shilpa, go ahead.
Yeah, we have some questions coming in, Sujit. This is from Purnima Bonta. Even after necessary upskilling and wanting to move forward in the career, chances are still scarce for women. What do women need to convince their employers and senior managements that they are eligible for a leadership position?
Meenakshi, do you want to take, or I either listen?
Yeah, I will take that. Okay, so I think Sonal spoke about meritocracy to be the right guideline, right? When you really define a role architecture in Mindtree, we call it as a role architecture. What are the clear KRAs or responsibilities that a role should, and the skill set that the role should have? And if you really go by that merit-based ecosystem, I don't think you really need to kind of sell yourself. What I tell, not just women minds in Mindtree, I mean, we call the employees as minds, and for everyone for that matter, when you are doing a job, one, you give 100% to it so that you meet the expectations of the job. While you are in that job, you also look for some additional opportunities to create that visibility, to create that impact, right? So that your aspiration is actually visible and people around you notice the work that you're doing. And if you have this principle in the everyday work that we do, you really don't have to sell yourself or seek or convince anybody, because the work speaks for yourself. And that is something that I have kind of used in my career to grow and to take up new challenges and kind of move up the career ladder. So I actually give the same advice to younger generation budding engineers and technologists. Doesn't matter men.
You're saying the work speaks for itself. You don't have to do a little bit of marketing for yourself.
I mean, the work kind of does a lot of marketing for you.
It does.
It does.
It does, yeah. And I think it's also important to build your own brand, right? Which, as Meenakshi rightly alluded to, the more impactful projects you work on, you will create visibility for yourself, and your brand will be built. And it's also important to shadow, right? So the early on you start shadowing someone who is senior to you, you again build that visibility for yourself, and then you're ready to take on that larger role. Okay. You need to invest in yourself, of course. I think learning is a continuous journey. As long as you have the right skill sets, as long as you're prepared to take on that role, I don't think any organization is going to say, no, I'm not going to allow you to take on that role because you're a woman.
Okay.
Some thoughts, yeah. I'll just quickly add to some of the thoughts that Sonal and Meenakshi mentioned. Find a sponsor advocate for yourselves. As Sonal said, internal, external, maintain a very healthy network, internal and external, work collaboratively across the organizations, right? So break that glass ceiling. I think some of these biases are in our mind. So try working with this internal and external environment, and involve the male colleagues in the process when you're making the business case, right? So involve all the colleagues around you. Those are the piece of advice from me.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah. I have this question from Neetika Sharma asking, being in a leadership position might often mean professional commitments in terms of time and effort increase. While this doesn't seem to be a problem for men, how can we as women juggle both professional and personal commitments?
You need to work on your infrastructure, trust me, and that's exactly where I think some of the women leaders give up, because they don't realize that with larger roles comes larger set of responsibilities, and if you do not work on your infrastructure, you would not be in a position to give your 100%, let alone giving 200%, right?
What are these infrastructures, Sonal? What did you do in your life?
Yeah, so I think one is, of course, understanding, and that's when when I spoke about vision, when you know what vision you have for yourself, you start working on different set of requirements, right? And they say that behind every man there's a successful man, there's a woman, but behind every successful woman there's a family, right? So I think setting the expectations with your family members, seeking help. I think it's absolutely fine to seek help. If you're in a extremely demanding role, and if your child is really young, it's okay to ask your mom or mom-in-law to be around, right? Have a support system in having help, right? If I've done this, there was a time where I've kept two helps, one live-in maid, one 12-hour maid, because it is not possible for you to give your 100% if you're stuck with the household responsibilities, right?
Bear that extra cost if necessary.
Yes,
don't think about twice about all this.
And these are investments. I remember when I was a young lawyer, at least 35% of my salary was going in, retaining help. But when I look back, I think I made the right decisions, because it was a need of the hour for me to, succeed in my career, right? And as I told earlier, we all have the same set of problems. We need to understand those problems and find the solutions to these are not small problems, of course, but find the solutions, and those solutions need to be timely, so that you're more confident, you're prepared for the larger role, and you can then aspire and chase your dreams. So work on the infrastructure.
Yeah. Leenika, Meenakshi, what kind of infrastructures did you build?
So while I was always supported by my mom, and that's how I could work. But beyond an infrastructure, I think there is one thing that is very, very important for us as women to go along, is to not feel guilty of everything that's happening around us, right? Something that has happened could have happened if we were at home. I still categorically remember I have held myself responsible for very small things. And people around you would always make you believe that this is because you are working. So we have to move off that guilt and believe that, all of this does happen with women who are sitting at home or are homemakers. It is not just because we are working mothers. Things like my son's height was not growing, and somebody said, Shubh seems to be not growing. And I thought, is it because I am not able to give him that kind of time? So I think we need to clearly move away from that guilt. He's today a very tall, dark, handsome guy. So it all works out.
So nice. Meenakshi?
Yeah, so I am a firm believer, Sujit, of you cannot do it all. It is all about prioritization, right? So if you want to have a career and you are aspiring to grow your career over time, you need to make that kind of investment, be it learning, skill building, networking, whatever that means. And as you grow, obviously your responsibilities and the time commitment also grows, right? So I think early on, I kind of created an ecosystem or the support system that Sonal spoke about, of that the house can actually run even if I am not physically present even for 1 month. So that is a kind of support system I created. And one thing I learned over a time is to really build that partnership with the people who are actually giving care for your children. And I really value that partnership. And they are all, whoever has come into our lives and helped my children grow, they still are in touch with me. They still call me and my children, right? So they are kind of part and parcel of the family. And that partnership, I think, goes a long way in helping the children understand the ecosystem that they grew in and value the help that these people helped us grow, right? The human side of the value that these people instill in their life, even if the mother was not there. So I would say that has helped me a lot in getting that additional time that is required to grow your career. So it's all about balancing and not having the guilt, and you can't do everything, so you'll have to prioritize. So that's the principle and motto that I have followed.
I want to add one thing, Sujit, if I may. E-commerce platforms have become great tools or enablers for working women, right? You have the big basket and the milk baskets of the world, which enables you to order. And I can tell you, I have very long days, and if I have to order some breakfast items, I can order up to 12 at night, and by 6 o'clock, all the items are at my doorstep. These are the things which have become quite helpful now. These comforts were not there earlier, right, when we embark on a career. So I think younger women should try and adopt all those small levers and technologies and tools, because they make your life easier. So try and find.
Yeah, my wife's mindset also finally changed. I used to wonder, why would she go and physically go do all the shopping and all that when all these e-commerce platforms are there? I don't know. She had some reasoning. Prices are lower. I don't know what exactly, but But now I think probably work has also increased for her or whatever. Now she's become quite comfortable ordering e-commerce now, and I'm sure it has made a big difference. Yeah, but I'm sure for many women, the environment at home and all may not be, could be quite hostile, no? It may not be as easy to build those partnerships and infrastructures. What would be your advice be to women whose spouses or parents and all are not as accommodative?
Have conversations, communicate. I think the more you communicate and tell them that, you're a professionally qualified doctor, lawyer, chartered accountant, engineer, you've invested as much amount of time as any other man, and you would want to chase your dreams, I can tell you they would support you. It's just that you need to continuously communicate at different stages that, my role is getting more demanding. This is how it's going to be. I will need help. I think it's okay to seek help, as I said earlier, but set the expectations. It will make your life easier.
Shilpa?
We have this question from Radhika M. How receptive is the tech industry for someone who did enter the workforce due to marriage, but wants to join the tech industry 4 or 5 years after graduation?
I think absolutely. There's a talent war now. Actually, do you want to comment on it?
So there are a lot of non-tech, I would say, people coming into the technology world, because nowadays you have the Udemys of the world and where you can actually access these technology trainings, right? And once you actually get certified, that certification now carries a lot of value. Typically I find a lot of people would have taken some course or some engineering stream, perhaps they were not at all keen in, and then later make a switch in the career because they really found the passion. So you can use these trainings that are available. Perhaps you may not get into a very established company, but you could do some projects with smaller companies. Once you've actually built your resume, I think then the world is yours. In fact, I would say that in my career, if I really look at some of the people whom I have worked with, they have come with varied backgrounds. I can find people with a master's in English literature doing technology, digital transformation consulting for our customers, people with geography, geology. So the technology world is truly all assimilating kind of an ecosystem, right? So if you really have a passion in technology, I think you can really make a world out there. That being said, I myself, and I'm not from the computer background, I did something else in my engineering, and at the end of it, I really figured out that, oh no, this is not what I want to do. So I also made that switch, but just that I realized it very early on in my career that I don't want to continue in the stream that I was specializing in when I was doing engineering. So it takes a bit of effort, it takes a bit of perseverance, but I'm very sure that if you really put in that kind of a work and you have set yourself the goal to get there, you will get there one day.
Okay.
So the tech industry, So the tech industry also needs a lot of roles which have a domain understanding to go to the market and to be able to explain some of this to the architects, etc. So there are those roles that are available from a client services, relationship, pre-sales, consultants, who support from the domain understanding perspective as well.
Yeah, true. Leenika, I want to know, men's mindsets in the technology industry, the leaders particularly, where do you see that? Do they still have a lot of biases, or have things changed a lot?
So Sujit, honestly, the bias is towards the other side. I think today there is a more bias on from leaders towards men. I think women are more than welcome. Our industry is openly, there is a lot of welcome to have women leaders, very keen interest to develop, have senior women leaders. I hear these conversations so often that I kind of think, oh, I wish 1996 it was like this, right? When I was coming up. So clearly, I think it is a very advantageous position for a lot of women. And it is not because I think very clearly research suggests that, if women are empowered, it is more a business case than a diversity case for us, very clearly.
No, absolutely.
And women should be taking more P&L roles. I think there is a huge gap today, 14% women versus 46% male holding P&L roles. So, yeah.
Okay. So the MNCs, of course, many of them have big mandates now. Is it for, to ensure women good diversity percentages? Is that equally true for the Indian companies?
Yes. So it is true for Indian companies, smaller, medium enterprises, startups. In this role of mine, I'm getting this question from everybody. And I think what they are struggling with, the question that is posed to me is to say, what do we do if women are not wanting to come forward? So I think this is running in everybody's mind to say, what can we do? How can we support? While from a multinational's perspective, there could be targets to do diverse workforce, etc. But clearly, I think, as I said, people have understood that this is more a business case and not a good to do anymore.
Okay. You Sonal, Meenakshi, Mindtree has very clear policies on this, is it? You're also trying to ensure diversity.
We've always believed in having an extremely inclusive work environment. So diversity, in any case, helps the organizations, from an innovation standpoint, it helps from a profitability standpoint. So yes, we do have policies, but that's always been there in our DNA.
Okay. I want to ask you both, Meenakshi and Sonal. I know. I was looking at your profiles. Meenakshi, you did a executive PG program in management from IIM Bangalore. Well into your career. Sonal, well into your career, you did a postgraduate diploma in intellectual property rights law from the National Law School of India. You did an executive leadership program from Cornell University. How valuable are these kind of programs to ensure that you rise up into leadership levels?
So, Meenakshi, do you want to go first? Or?
Yeah. So mine was a unique case. I think like a lot of women take my case study and they have gone on to do masters by looking at my case study. So at least I was able to serve one purpose. So in my case, Sujit, for whatever reason, children and then taking care of them, etc., I had to postpone family situation. I had to postpone my masters as much as 15 years into my career. But I was very clear that I need to actually shift to the business side of technology, and this course I felt will give me that kind of a broader perspective. So I had a lot of naysayers and negative feedback coming in that why would you want to do something so late in the game and when your children have already grown up. So I did have I did have that. And I've always mentioned this to somebody. So I spoke to one person. That was the last day of confirming my seat at IIM. And I spoke to one person, and that person tell me, look, Meenakshi, you just have one life. If you want to do it, just go ahead and do it. So that sentence still stays with me in my memories. So I actually went on to do it. And then obviously I shifted the focus and I took on different roles after that. That course actually helped me really change my profile and the way you look at technology business. So it really helps.
It really helps.
It really helps. And all of this actually comes back to you setting goals for yourself. So I repeatedly tell younger technologists, right, you have to have a clear goal. And to reach that goal, there might be some 5 steps that you need to take. At what point in your career, at what time you will take, you need to figure that out. And at any point in time, and technology is an area where the technology keeps changing every 6 months, right? So it is an area where we are continuous learners. So going back to studies at any point in time helps, Sujit, and obviously you have to manage your finances. That comes, that is something that you need to plan out.
Yeah, some of these are expensive courses, no?
Yes.
Sonal, you did 2 courses well into your career.
Yes, I did. And I'm glad I did my master's immediately after my bachelor's when I was really young. And I'm quite thankful, and I advise young lawyers to do that as well. But to answer your question, whether these courses helped me, yes. The exec leadership course from Cornell really helped me because, it helped me steer into a leadership role because it taught me those skills which help to deal with change management, to help, focus on crucial conversations or negotiation strategies or crisis management. These are all the aspects or nuances that you deal with when you get into leadership role, right? So it definitely helped. Secondly, the course that I did from the National Law School on IP was, just to, focus on the domain because it's important. So my recommendation to everybody is learning is a journey. Keep investing in yourself. The more you invest in yourself, the more you will shine and you'll stand out. So invest in yourself, excel in yourself, forget that you're a woman, think of yourself as a professional, because the more you think about yourself as a professional, the better you will do in your career.
Excellent. Leenika, you of course, you have a lot of learning programs online. One, the Future Skills Prime, of course, is a great example. But are there any women-focused programs to encourage them to upskill?
Yeah, Sujit. So the one that I spoke about, the whole W Square RT program,
that one. Okay.
is for upskilling women in technology very clearly.
Okay.
It's a focused program for upskilling women in technology.
Okay. And there's no restriction on, is there a number or something that can take, or anybody can take?
Anybody can take. Members, non-members, it's open to the entire community of technologists.
Okay. Shilpa, I have a question here. Do you have a question?
Not yet.
There's one from Sunita Chandran asking, is there a skew of women in middle and senior management positions in support functions as compared to core tech functions in the tech industry?
Yes, I think the numbers do suggest that we have more women in the non-core roles than core roles.
Okay. Why do you think that's the case?
So 24% is core. yeah, so non-core is more than core. See, it's a lot about non-core roles are considered a little more easier, like, the support roles than the core roles. But the numbers do suggest more women more in the non-core roles than the core roles.
Okay. Non-core would be things like what?
HR, finance.
HR, finance. Okay. Do you see that, Sonal, Meenakshi, in Mindtree?
Sonal, do you have a view from the non-core roles for business enablement?
I think because we are an IT company, I don't see that kind of difference because, again, as I mentioned earlier, us is a meritocracy-based organization, so we allow whoever is capable and skilled to explore those roles. But I think there's a fair balance, is what I would say, Meenakshi. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in technology, I would say in core, I think overall Mindtree, there is a push to really increase the percentage of women. I think our intake is as high as 50%, Sujit, in the beginning, but then this actually drops due to various reasons, right? Whatever, marriage or childcare and elderly care and all that. So overall, I think our focus is to increase both at core and non-core. I don't think we are doing a specific focus that you increase X percentage in core and non-core. But I would say overall, the organization drive is to really increase the percentage at all levels and get to a very healthy mix. I think we have set some targets to really drive, and all the programs that we are running today is to really get to that aspirational levels of mix of women and men.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a returnship program?
Yes, we do. We do have a specific returnship program. I think the one that we recently launched is to welcome back women who were forced to take some sort of a break due to the pandemic. And we have special training programs, mentorship programs, and coaching programs lined up to get them back into the ecosystem and settle back into the workforce. So that is a specific focused initiative that we are running to get women back into the workforce, Sujit.
Okay. Leenika, I wanted to ask you, I mean, it's still just murmurs. Of course, it's nothing serious at the moment. But, occasionally I've heard young men say all these companies have this diversity program, big focus on women. One of the reasons why we are not getting jobs and all that. Do you at all worry that that sentiment can turn adverse?
So I don't think so. I think as I mentioned that it is because of the business case, rightly put, we need a diverse workforce, right? We need diversity of thoughts, we need diversity of opinions. So there is no reason for men to feel that, men are more available talent, good talent, and there is no reasons of worry. I think what companies are trying to build in, and not saying not to have men, right? So our gender proportionality principle talks about at the bottom of the pyramid, we are looking at 50-50. So we are saying 50% men and 50% women. And as we go along, we are wanting to maintain 50% at the middle management and then have 34% at the top, right? So we are nowhere saying that it's skewing towards women. It's a more balance and diversity that we are wanting to maintain. So men have no worries at all.
So, and you are sure, I mean, companies are not compromising on merit or anything to ensure diversity?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
There is no law that mandates, right? It is, as I'm again repeating, it's a business case. And it is not only for women. There are research and studies to prove that a neurodiverse talent is more productive. So, diversity is more important from a business perspective. It has nothing to do with targets or, policies, etc. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Enough studies that have been done which shows diversity helps the business case. Yeah. Shilpa?
Yeah, we have this question from Ratna Ram. How are recruitment processes evolving to identify leaders of tomorrow from young women talent?
How are recruitment programs, is it?
Yeah, how are recruitment processes processes
You're breaking a little,
evolving
Shilpa.
to identify leaders? How are recruitment processes evolving to identify leaders of tomorrow from young women talent? This is from Ratnaram.
Who wants to take that?
Okay, maybe I'll take that. So I don't, if I really look back, Mindtree's recruitment strategy, I don't think we have anything specific in terms of identify women only. So as Sonal was mentioning, right, it is again a role-based architecture approach. Every role has a defined set of criteria, skills, responsibilities, and KRAs. So when you really look at or evaluate candidates, both men and women get evaluated in the same manner. And the hiring happens based on the need, the joining timeline of that person to that role. All of these factors come into consideration, right? So once the employee comes inside the organization, then you have a whole new ecosystem to tap into for mentorship, specific leadership programs, so that you can actually grow your career. There is a specific push that is given for women because you actually have lower percentages in the higher talent. But I wouldn't say there is a specific change in the recruitment policy. One thing probably that I can call out is, in order to attract women to the workforce, we do have some special referral programs that incentivizes Mindtree employees to bring their women friends into the organization. So there are some specific incentives that run. Other than that, the evaluation process, the way the process runs, it is exactly the same, and it is based on the meritocracy principles and the role architecture principles. And obviously, a lot of it will actually also play in terms of the timeliness. For example, if you're looking for a candidate to join us 2 months from now, doesn't matter whether or a man or a woman, whoever is available will actually get that offer. So that's how it works out. That's how it's actually done.
So today, a lot of hiring is happening through platforms which are gender neutral. You don't put your gender, and that's how the resumes are passed to the business heads. So a lot of the industry hiring is happening on these platforms which do not upfront announce your gender. So the gender bias is diminished.
Okay. You're almost out of time. Final words from each of you. From what I could gather from this entire discussion today, the industry provides a lot of opportunities for women. I mean, the mindset is that we need more women, and diversity helps. It's now there are plenty of structures available. It's now mostly up to the women now to take advantage of each of those structures, opportunities, whether it's mentorship, returnship, online courses, take advantage of all of these and move up. Is that largely the message? Anything else? Final words from each of you, Meenakshi?
Yeah, I would actually say that whatever is the career gap or the time that you need to take out for family, don't really worry about all that. You can actually come back into the workforce with the same enthusiasm and same level of passion as before. Don't compare yourself with your other male colleagues. You chart your own path and set your own career goals, and you will really make it happen. So that, and invest in your education, whatever it is, the technology trainings or whatever it is, constantly invest in yourself and be a professional, as what Sonal said, right? That is what I think I would really advise younger women to do to really grow their career.
Great. Sonal?
I would just say, believe in yourself, build your own brand, and don't give up, because that's the easiest thing to do.
Okay, don't give up. Leenika?
Yeah, so on behalf of the industry, I would say that there's a lot of thrust on making the environment more inclusive and diverse. So this is just the best time for us as women to turn this opportunity to be the makers and regulators of our own career. And this hybrid work culture is definitely going to benefit. So let's just do it.
Great note to end on. Absolutely, such a great discussion. So it's great messages there for women at large. Grab these opportunities. You can build your own brand. So thanks so much, Leenika, Meenakshi, Sonal. Very nice having you on our platform. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sujit.
Shilpa.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sonal,
Thank you.
Meenakshi. Thanks, Shilpa.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.